Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. The Ontario government announced a change today, and quite frankly, it's a staggering change to a staggering statement. In the mathematics curriculum for high school, they had a mention specifically that said math techniques are a colonial system designed to segregate Black and Indigenous people and racialized people. What a load of cock and bull. I'm sorry, I'm generally pretty left-leaning and I want to see equality for everybody. But how is math racist? And how is math used to promote racism? Math itself is a neutral thing. Hell, I'm of a particular ethnic group, and I'm not very good at math, but that's because it's not something I chose to focus on. I am happy to say that math should be taught differently to different people. Kids need to learn their times tables. Adults need to know about financial literacy, and you can't teach the same way to everybody. This is something I would wholeheartedly support. And there have been statistics proposed in the past that have quantified racial divisions. That's true, but you can say that about anything. What disturbs me is that they call it Eurocentric math. Eurocentric math is anything but European. It uses numbers that were derived from the Indian system. Eurocentric numbers would be the Roman numbers or the Ogham alphabet, the runic alphabet for those of you that haven't heard of Ogham. So we already use numbers that come from another race of people. A lot of algebra comes from the Arabic world. Algebra itself is an Arabic word. So our math is quite literally multicultural. It's not Eurocentric, and it's done very well by Indians and by Middle Easterners, all of those people. So calling math Eurocentric is ridiculous. Now, once again, I'm going to bring this back to saying everybody learns differently. I've learned a lot about the financial system. I can do a tax return. I can do coding, but at the same token, I can't really do algebra. I understand what an equation is. I know how the steps work through it: BEDMAS, brackets, exponents, multiplication, addition, subtraction. All that, no problem. The same token, I'm not going to be teaching that stuff to anybody. I'm just not that good. My friend from Trinidad runs his own chain of stores. He obviously has much higher financial literacy than I do. And he sees the transactions every day. He sets his prices. He pays his employees. He does all that. He's a Trinidadian. Way better at math than I am. He didn't seem to have a problem with figuring that stuff out. My Persian friend is another man who's genius at math. They're both geniuses compared to me. I'm a writer, I have a talk show, and I know how to talk. They know how to talk too. So saying that math is racist is one of the most ludicrous things I have ever heard. Let's learn how to teach different ways. My 8-year-old found this way of doing a table that you look at it and it gives you the answer. Fantastic. That's the kind of thing I'd like to see, because literally what I did is I told her to watch some videos on YouTube, and she did, and I got her into shape. She could suddenly do all of her times tables. She's still working on a few of them, but she's a step ahead of where she was learning in school. That's nothing against the teacher. The teacher has 30 students in front of them. Each one of them learns differently, and it's tough to give equal time to them all. That being said, not once did I have a problem with any of the math homework. I thought some of it was a little difficult for that age group, but at the same token, kids learn by being challenged. So at no point did I ever have a problem with the math curriculum. The history curriculum I had problems with. For Jewish History Month, Black History Month, she spent a whole month going over things. The teacher was talking about Chadwick Boseman, how he appeared in Black Panther, and even though none of the kids had seen that movie, because again, these are 8-year-olds, Black Panther came out when they were 6, so not really something 6-year-olds are known to do. She spent a whole month on that, and then for Jewish History Month, she spent one day talking about bagels. Really, bagels. Bagels as if they summarize the whole of the Jewish experience. Now, Polish Jewry, yes, very connected to bagels. And everybody likes bagels. Same token, doesn't really have anything to do with Judaism. Challah bread and, wine and stuff like that. Even if you don't want to talk about the wine, challah bread is easy, it's tasty, and it's something everybody can look up and say, oh, that's the twisty, naughty bread. Yes, and it tastes nice. Eggy, twisty bread. And then you can get into the whole background of that. But to have one lesson on the Jewish people and a whole month of lessons on Black people's culture and a whole year about a horribly colonial vision about the First Nations, that was horrible to me. Math, never had a problem. But the actual history they were teaching, they're trying to present the idea of the noble savage as the Indian, caretaker of the garden, that old 1970s commercial with the Italian playing the Indian actor with the tear that rolls down his cheek. This has been disproven a few times. The colonials, when they came across the First Nations, had already been ravaged by plague. So they were picking up in a society that had recently collapsed. That's not the real way that they lived. The First Nations were highly organized, and they weren't just living in teepees and wandering around. They had gardens, they had farms. These people knew what they were doing. And to say that they were caretakers of the land and take better care of it than we did is an absolute fallacy. Now, I didn't really have an issue with that because it paints them in a good light. No problem. But in return, I would expect the same to be done for Jewish people, for Chinese people, for Indian people, for all the other races, not just Black and First Nations. Don't need to spend a lot of time on European history. I'm cool with that. We're all going to wind up studying what happened and all that sort of stuff. But to specifically look at the Black people and the First Nations people and say math is racist to them, I don't know where or how this idea got promulgated. It's 2 plus 2 will always be 4. 2 times 2 will always be 4. I might need to sit down and show you 2 sets of 2 bottle caps and say, okay, this count it up, it's 4. Another person is going to immediately grasp right away with the traditional way. Every student is different. Every culture is different. Every person is different. We need to find a way to stop calling out racism. Because, yes, racism exists. There should be a notion in the school curriculum that race is a real thing and anti-racism is important. At the same token, when you start talking about mathematics being racist, why is computer coding not racist? That's mostly done by white and Asian people. There are very clever Black programmers, there are very clever Indian programmers, but overall, it's white and Asian people. So here I am, looking at the fact that this is a huge debate in Ontario and wondering, what's the purpose of this? The fact is, once again, they're trying to create an artificial divide. Why are we racializing mathematics? And what are racialized people? Is that your way of trying to say, Indians and Asians and all the other cultures in the world? It was a very confusing statement, and it needed to be removed. We can't go around just simply pointing our fingers and crying racism at everything. Yes, it might be. The same token, let's find a way to stop it. Mathematics, first of all, can be solved by individual tutoring. I had a mathematics tutor, and you know what? My issue was I just wasn't interested. But I had some tutoring on the side. I slowly started to pay attention. And in university, I finally started to work hard on mathematics, and I got it. But when I was in high school, I had 10 million better things to do than math. I'm sure most other people did too. So perhaps it isn't mathematics that's racist, but the way that it's taught is. We need to address that. But anyways, thank you for everybody for listening to the Silverlight Show, and we hope you have a fantastic day.